Hello everyone, welcome to the Bega Valley Innovation Hub pitch final for 2021. There are a number of audience members and panelists just joining us right now. I can see the numbers going up. So I'm just going to give us 1 minute to wait for those guys to join us and then we'll get started. Millie might be able to play some background music while we wait, but if not, sit back, get a cup of coffee, get ready. We'll be in here for about an hour and a half, maybe a little bit over, depending on how much feedback we get for our businesses. And then we'll get started in just a moment. Oh, it's fantastic. I can see in the chat that everyone's letting us know where they're joining us from. Thank you, guys. You may have heard that Bega is out of lockdown. Don't want to make you all jealous. So I'll be really surprised if we do get our full complement of attendees. They may be all out having lunch. But for those of you who are joining us, thank you so much. And I can see that people are joining us from Victoria and Sydney, Wollongong. Really nice to have your support and great to hear from you. All right, well, we might get started. I can't see if some of our panelists have joined us yet. I can see some of them. So we'll wing it as we go and see how we're going. Beautiful. All right, let's begin. Hello again, everyone. My name is Sam Avataya and I'm the manager of the University of Wollongong Bega campus and I'm project manager for the Bega Valley Innovation Hub. We'd like to begin today by acknowledging the beautiful lands and waters that we live on here in the Bega Valley and pay our respects to the Diringanj peoples, custodians of these lands for thousands of years. We acknowledge their continued spiritual and cultural connection to country, and as we share knowledge, teaching, learning and research within the university, we also pay respect to the knowledge embedded forever within the Aboriginal custodianship of country. Welcome to all our audience. I can see almost 50 people on the line so far joining us on our webinar, including representatives from state and federal government and the NBN, which is quite amazing, as I said, considering we've just come out of lockdown. And as I drove here to work today, everyone seemed to be out in the cafes enjoying a coffee in the sunshine. If you haven't already, please share your name in the chat and where you're joining us from, as we'd love to hear from you. For those of you who are new to the Bega Valley Innovation Hub, we're a locally grown and managed business accelerator, a partnership between the Bega Valley Shire Council, the University of Wollongong and Bega Cheese, and we're largely funded by Oz Industries Entrepreneurs Program. We have a steering committee with representatives of all these organisations, as well as New South Wales Regional Development and 2Pi Software. Every year, we take on cohorts of local businesses or startups with new ideas and concepts, and they undertake an 8-week education program powered by Wollongong's iAccelerate, one of Australia's largest business accelerators. And this year we've moved to a blended model, offering online interactive modules, and then our companies meet once a week via Zoom, like we are now, with experts and facilitators, alongside mentoring from local and national networks. What you're seeing today is the culmination of 8 weeks of work packed into a 3-minute pitch. We have a theme of circularity running through the 2021 program, alongside our region's ambition to become Australia's first circular economy. Our cohort learnt in depth about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and you may see these referred to in their presentations using the SDG symbols shown here. We're very grateful to be joined by a large network of local and national experts who you will meet during our webinar today to provide feedback to our businesses. And during our event, each business will give a 3-minute pitch, followed by feedback from one of our panellists. We plan to be finished by 1:45, and this webinar will be recorded. If you have any questions, you'll be able to submit these directly to our businesses after the event, as we won't have time for an audience Q&A at the end. This is the first time we've ever run this as a webinar, so please bear with us, especially if I leave myself on mute and someone has to tell me to unmute. I do that occasionally. Okay, big deep breath. I know our businesses are nervous. Let's get started. We have 2 categories of businesses today, and after each category, we'll do an audience poll for people's choice. So our first category is the new enterprise category. And our first business to join us today is Nathan from Disability Club. Disability Club is a social network platform created by Nathan Johnson. Nathan's pre-recorded his pitch from his home in Brogo, and you may have some difficulty hearing him, so I recommend you turn your sound up or pop your headphones on if you need to, because it's well worth it to hear it from Nathan. We also have some closed captions in case you can't hear or need that for accessibility. And then Nathan will try and join us from his home today to answer questions after his pitch. So over now to Nathan.
Hi, my name is Nathan Johnston. I'm the founder of a new innovative social media network called Disability Club, where people with disabilities can all communicate together on one platform. They can upload and share media files, and they can get a whole bunch of other features and accessible features to access the site. From my own experiences being in lockdown, I felt the need to communicate and connect with like-minded people. I tried to do this through mainstream social media sites, but I was unable to do this through lack of accessibility. This is how my idea for Disability Club came about. To date, we have developed a framework for the site, and we've gone through beta testing, and we're nearly operational. There's 2 types of users: free accounts and corporate accounts. Corporates pay for the ability to advertise directly to their targeted audience. My dream for this business, for the everyday user and including those with disabilities, can communicate freely and securely. I want to make sure that Disability Club is accessible for all.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nathan. I'm very relieved that that video worked. And I'm going to actually hand over to Nathan's panelist now, who is Barry Irvin, who's just joined us on the line. If you haven't heard of Barry Irvin, most of us have in the Bega Valley. He is the executive chairman of Bega Cheese. And what you might not also be aware of is that he's CEO of Giant Steps, which is a leading educational centre for children with autism and their families. I'm going to hand over to Barry to unmute himself and give some feedback to Nathan about his social networking platform. Thanks, Barry.
Thanks, Sam, and thanks, Nathan. And my apologies, Nathan, for being a little late to join. I had a technical issue, which is interesting, given that we're talking about a social networking platform. Clearly, that usability is extremely important. And I think from my perspective, and I apologize for just missing the beginning, I think, you know, that how you engage with others, not only in terms of what you would like to create, but in terms of others in a similar position, that create a community amongst itself, that ensures that that I guess it meets a multiple level of disabilities. One of my experiences is that you know, if you think of something like Giant Steps and autism, we have many people that are non-verbal, so they don't speak at all, And they engage in different ways. They engage through pictures, and they engage through different forms of communication. So I think, you know, my great interest in your pitch would be around the community you bring together to make sure that this works in terms with the wider community, if that makes any sense at all. But I'd be sort of interested in getting some feedback on that approach, if you like.
Nathan, would you like to unmute yourself and see if you can respond to Barry's question?
And thank you for your feedback, Barry.
That's absolutely fine, Nathan.
And by the way, we are going to try and connect it to the wider community, and yeah, today we have been working in the background, like you say, technical glitches. So yeah, so could you just repeat your question?
Oh, of course. I was interested in. I guess there might be phases of this unfolding. Might be a better way of putting it. So, in terms of the stages at which you might unfold it, where is the first part of your community? What are the first people you would like to add to it? Maybe another way of putting it would be. My follow-up question was going to be, how can we help? But the initial question is, at the various stages of development, what would you see as first stage? What would you see as how would you see this unfold?
Well, basically, we've got an individual site for individuals. That's free of charge. Second stage, we got a corporate level for businesses where they can get their own corporate profile and advertise directly to their target audience. That one has a fee for corporates. But right now it's just getting it out there to a wider audience. And in terms of how corporates can help, we are looking at big corporate companies signing up to literally help us further web development, and they can advertise to individual people on the individual service.
Nice idea. So I think the way, so Nathan, if I was to sort of think about how we might be able to help, it would be really making sure that those corporates connect up with one another as well as with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the sort of, so that would be the thought process that once you get one or two corporates on board, the other corporates would probably follow, and then that creates a broader network.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm going to cut in there. I think you might have got hustled there, Barry. You're going to be
I think I did. Yep. No. That sounds absolutely fine. I'm almost certain I did, but that's a good sign, Nathan, that you've hustled me. That's great. So we will talk offline.
Very good. Fantastic. I'm going to move on to our next business now. And I'll just ask Barry and Nathan to mute themselves so that I can go on to our next business, which is Ben from Greencraft. Over to you, Ben.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ben Buggy from Greencraft, where we're bringing you an old but mighty technology back to Australian farms, the humble tree. Each of us can remember a tree from our past that has an oversized place in our heart. For me, those are the trees of the Port Jackson figs in the park across from my childhood home, where I'd climb and explore all holidays. But trees can offer us and the wider environment much more than a personal connection. Trees in forests support the richest ecosystems on Earth, and I believe they're part of the solution to a looming challenge, building drought resilience in Australian agriculture. We all know that Australian farmers grow the foods that we eat every day, But did you know that as a group, they manage well over half of Australia's total landmass? More surprisingly though, over 90% of that land is dedicated as grazing land for the production of food and fibre. This means that the transition of Australia's agriculture to resilient and regenerative practices is by and large a transition of Australia's grazing land. Now, I want you to imagine a sheep farmer looking out over their paddocks from the back veranda, but they're not seeing the rolling green hills and contented livestock that they've known. Their land is in the grip of a deep, dry drought and the sun beats down hard. What the landscape needs most is water, but rain is the one thing that the farmer can't control. What would the next best thing be? I would say a tree, or better yet, many trees. Imagine instead a sparse forest of fodder trees like Tagasasti running over the spurs, cool wooded gullies growing furniture timbers, and deciduous nut trees shading the house. A tree in pasture is shading the ground, slowing the wind, holding the soil, protecting smaller plants and grasses, so the effects of drought are lessened. Deciduous trees in particular allow the sun through in winter, cycle nutrients to the surface and are less competitive. And when the rains do come, and they can come hard and fast when the drought breaks, the tree is there again, holding the soil, slowing the runoff and increasing infiltration. Trees also offer a diverse income, such as sawn timber, firewood and nuts, and diversity of production will be a hallmark of the agriculture of a circular economy. We here at Greencraft are bringing an innovation to Australian farmers in the Grazable Tree Guard. The Grazable Tree Guard allows farmers to plant trees on grazing land without the need for new fencing. It's low cost, effective, reusable, protects tree saplings from livestock and wildlife while allowing grazing right up to its base. We know the guard works because we've tested early prototypes, and the next step is to refine these ideas into a product for manufacture. Today, I'm here speaking on behalf of Greencraft at the start of our journey. We believe we've found an exciting opportunity, but there's a long way to go. We are currently looking at funding models and partnerships to support a rigorous R&D phase. The Grazable Tree Guard as a product with a worldwide market and a planetary need, and we invite you to join us on the journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Well done. It's always nerve-wracking doing that live. If the audience could be seen, I'm sure they're all clapping. I'm going to hand over to your panelists for today. And we have a local panelist joining us, which is Natasha Berta. Natasha's a local marketing advisor from Connected Marketing. So over to you, Natasha.
Hey, thanks, Sam. Nice one, Ben. Yeah, this is a project pretty close to my heart. And I love the real picture that I was able to paint in my mind as you pitched. So I think it was a great pitch. It was really easy for me to connect with that. And the slide you have here is also great. As well as being a total tree lover, I also am a part of a sixth generation Bega family, and they're farmers. And I know that farmers do, well, the farmers that I am family with do care a lot about trees, and they have tree lots on their farm. So I guess my question is really around your ideal client, which while it is funding, it is also the farmers. And I wonder, how have your conversations gone so far with farmers, and do you sense that that part of your stakeholders is very activated? How are they feeling about this?
Thanks for the question, Natasha. In my conversations with farmers, I've found that there is varying degrees of interest in planting trees. Some farmers have been planting trees and have found current guards to be difficult or expensive to use, and generally will fence off paddocks for planting. But I see that as one potential market initially. There are also a group of farmers that have an interest in planting trees but haven't yet begun because of the difficulties to actually bringing that to a grazing land. And then from then, we know that once these kinds of movements can develop some momentum, then it becomes an example in the landscape that others can be inspired by.
That's exciting. Thanks.
Fantastic. You guys are running right to time. I'm very impressed. Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to our next business now, and I welcome Hannah from the readership. Over to you, Hannah.
Thanks, Sam. So I've been talking to lots of people who love to read, and the same two problems kept coming up over and over. Number one, what should I read next? And number two, what do I do with all these books once I've finished reading them? So the readership presents a solution that is unique, commercially viable, and environmentally friendly. It aligns with the UN SDGs 4, 8, and 12. So I'm talking about people who love to read, but they're busy and they can't dedicate a lot of time to choosing and sourcing their next book. They're likely 25 to 40, educated and environmentally conscious. Normally, these readers will buy a book, read a book, buy a book, and so on, and accumulate a big stack of books that then causes them stress. At the readership, we'll do things differently. Slide, please. So subscribers will receive a book from our carefully selected catalogue. It arrives at their door in thoughtful but minimalist packaging with a carefully chosen review or related reading. They read the book and they can take as long as they like. They fill in a very simple feedback card, send the whole lot back to HQ. We'll compost all the packaging and send on that book to another book lover. We'll then choose their next book based on the feedback and the cycle will repeat. There are other book subscriptions in Australia. This is a proven and growing market. So why are we different? Well, the readership is unique in that books are returned to be sent on to a new reader. While at first this might seem odd, we do need to look a little deeper at this market. They really want to reduce their use of new materials in all consumer goods. It could be electronics, furniture, or clothes, and they're increasingly looking to buy secondhand for environmental and ethical as much as cost reasons. Worse for many is the burden of ownership. More stuff brings more responsibilities. They're looking for access, not ownership. A second huge pain for these readers is knowing what to read. It could be decision fatigue, lack of time, anxiety around starting a book they don't end up liking, being skeptical of undue hype, whatever. In response, the readership proposes a breed of curation not shown by any other offering. We have a diverse and slightly offbeat library of literary fiction, including debut Aussie authors, translated works, and lesser known just from big name authors. It's been developed from a deep understanding of what this demographic likes to read, and also draws on the work of Australia's foremost critics and reviewers, and you'll love it. We need $10,000 to start up. Phase 1 requires $2,000 to complete user testing, including packaging and feedback systems, as well as refining the subscription pricing and options. Phase 2 will develop branding, website, digital marketing, and so on. Our target customers will not tolerate second-rate aesthetics or online experiences. The readership is a subscription with a base offering of $34 a month. We break even at 50 subscribers. By 1,000, we can hire our first local to help process parcels and free up some time to start expanding into new markets like young adult fiction and genre fiction streams like fantasy or sci-fi. The numbers are totally realistic given the size of the market and the experience of trends shown by similar services, both here and overseas. Being in the readership is like having a big group of friends who all read great books and share them around. You can fill your mind without filling your shelves. Thank you.
Well done, Hannah. Clap, 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 clap. I can see all the other panelists clapping. Well done. You went flat out. It was fantastic.
I knew you'd cut me off, so I didn't want to risk it.
I'm already ready to sign up. As I've already told you, I'm a big convert for this product. Right, I'm going to hand over to your panelist, who's joining us from University of Wollongong's iAccelerate, Tamantha Stutchbury. Over to you, Tam.
Thanks, Sam, and congratulations, Hannah. That was an amazing pitch. You did a really good job. And every time I was writing down a question to ask you, you answered it in the next slide or the next bit. So that's amazing. And you've done a real lot of work on figuring out how your business will operate, what the financial model behind it are. I'd love to know a little bit more about how you're going to do that curation and how you would do that on scale if your company grows.
That's a great question. I've talked a lot about this. I think what I'd really like to talk about, if I could, is the part about growing the market, because I'm actually particularly excited about the young adult stream. So I think one of my hats is high school teacher. And I think what I would love to do is come up with a panel of high school students from around Australia who might be able to help me curate the YA stream. Because even though I read a lot as a teenager, I don't think my taste would be particularly relevant now. So I think one major thing I would do is recruit my little team of teenagers to help me pick the YA stream. And the same goes for fantasy, sci-fi, historical fiction, or whatever, because that's not my area of expertise. What I really love is just contemporary literary fiction. I do love translated works. I've been in book clubs my whole life. It's my biggest hobby is reading, talking about books and reading reviews. So I think it's a bit of a patchwork, but I would just like to finish on saying how excited I am about the potential for a YA stream.
Okay, great. I can lend you a teenager or two.
Oh, fantastic.
Back to you, Sam.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Sounds like we've already connected you up there. I'm not volunteering my Year 7 son as to be one of your curators, I'm afraid. But I'm sure you will have a much bigger audience. All right, so now we're over to next on the list, and we have Jason from My Small Business Coach. Over to you, Jason. Jason, you need to unmute yourself and start again. All good.
You there?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Sorry.
All
Thank
good.
you, Sam.
Off you go.
Someone had to do it, right? I'd like to introduce you to a frequent small business scenario played out around Australia. Tim and Lou run a local cafe, and as small business owners, they are the backbone of our country. They started off with passion burning inside them, doing what they love. However, after a honeymoon period of about 12 to 18 months, it became evident critical skills needed to survive were lacking, and they struggled to connect the dots with skill shortages in a changing landscape. Sales are falling. Even before COVID-19, they weren't great. It's hard growing your customer base with so many demands for your attention and ever more effective competition. The result, workplace stress levels rise, affecting everyone around them, family, friends, and even putting pressure on their marriage. Staff have felt this added stress, and as a result, Tim and Lou lose them. These are good staff that they've invested time, money, and effort into training. Sourcing new staff to fill these roles for front of house, Tim and Lou are finding that new employees entering the workforce are lacking the sort of soft skills like customer service, communication that make up great hospitality staff. Tim and Lou need a solution tailored to their overall business needs before it's too late. This very situation is why my wife and I started My Small Business Coach. We fill that void and support small business owners with strategies and training for long-term stability so they can enjoy their small business passion again, whilst upskilling their employees to gain those critical business-specific soft skills that are needed to support growth and happy workplace. We have over 60 years of combined small business experience and training, which has given us the knowledge to meet these challenges head on. No more expensive, time-consuming training days away for you and your staff. Instead, fast, high-impact online training in areas like budgeting, marketing, social media, innovation, critical thinking for business owners, and the soft skills that matter for employees such as customer service, teamwork, adaptability, and empathy. Training is one of the best investments you can make to improve your business. We have over 140 10 to 15 minute online training courses that can fit any schedule. Through a 12-month subscription basis, you will have access to this valuable resource 24/7, offering you a complete, flexible small business training solution. For as little as $149, you can now lead, inspire, motivate, innovate, and create to dominate your small business marketplace. Our mission is to make high-impact online training affordable, flexible, and accessible around the world, providing a complete solution to small business owners and employees, just like Tim and Lou. Thank you.
Well done, Jason. Fantastic. Even better when you went off mute. I'm going to hand over to your panelists, and I'm really pleased to have joining with us today from the Department of Regional New South Wales, our state government, is Daniel Murphy, who's a Business Development Manager. Over to you, Dan.
Thanks, Sam, and thanks, Jason, for that pitch. I think it was really good. Look, you know, it's a really important area how we support our businesses, and it really goes to the heart of what the Innovation Hub is trying to do. So great to see that you joined onto the program. I think the general feedback is I was really clear on what your value proposition was. I was really clear about that, the connection of a story to the pitch, I think was really strong. I think that's a really good way to sort of really connect about what you're trying to achieve to your market. I think there's a good understanding of the market and where small businesses especially are at the moment, which was great. Probably a question, I guess, is it's a really crowded market out there in terms of business support programs. So I'm interested in how you feel you're differentiating from things like LinkedIn online learning and those other platforms. And perhaps a subset of that is how you might be able to personalise your experience for those who do subscribe to the service.
Sure, thanks, Daniel. Great question. I think the biggest thing that differentiates us is that the courses are literally 10 to 15 minutes long. You need to get 80% within that course to pass to be able to move on to the next subject. There's gamification, so there's rewards as you go through that enhance the interaction. And the courses provide such a great platform for the soft skills for kids coming straight out of high school that are getting their first or second job. It could be in hospitality or sales or whatever it is, that just gives them that leg up. We have the basic skills, we then cover the intermediate skills, and then we cover advanced skills. Advanced monetizing social media, for example, working with millennials. You know, why wouldn't you get millennials running your social media campaigns, for example? Just tying those sorts of things together. But so more often than not, there's so many people in small business now that are in their 40s and 50s that have been left behind, that can't compete, maybe don't have an online presence or just don't understand it and haven't been taught those basics. So we try and cover through the 140 courses, 10 to 15 minutes each. We try and cover everything from the absolute beginner right through to doing pay-per-click campaigns on Google Ads and all those sorts of things. So we can get very, very technical very fast, but we really lay a strong foundation for the basics and then the intermediates. And so many small business owners just don't know how to compete against other like-minded businesses in their local area. And it's tough, you know, we see so many people's shops closed, not just because of COVID. I mean, they were struggling before COVID, if you look at the business statistics for small businesses around the world. So we're just trying to provide this comprehensive service. And not only that, over and above the subscription service, we do provide one-on-one coaching, website build design, lead nurturing and lead creations and all that sort of thing. You know, but before we were in lockdown, I went to a local gym and my membership was running out. And I said, mate, why haven't I got an email from you since I started here? You know, you should be having an email. You should be getting updates when a class is on. You know, if my membership runs out, you should be emailing me, tell me to rejoin and give me a voucher or whatever. You know, there's a lot of need in the community where older generation, say 40s and up, really have missed the boat a little bit as far as technology goes.
Fantastic, Jace.
Right.
Well done. Sorry, Dan, to cut you off. I'm moving on. You're used to me cutting you off.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, guys, and well done, Jace. I think the answer to that question really succinctly, and I've had the same experiences with local businesses, that, you know, I'm expecting them to contact me to invite me back, and I'm like, oh, they must not like me. You know, they don't want me. They don't want me back in their business. So yeah, that's a really good point. All right, we're going to move on to our next business now. And we have waiting in the wings, Olaf from MoBeasy. Over to you, Olaf.
Thank you, Sam. Hello, everyone. Today, I'd like to introduce you to MoBeasy, an awesome modular tiny home. I'm an architect by trade, originally from Germany, and moved to the Bega Valley roughly 5 years ago. I run a studio for residential architecture here in Bega. So I'm in the field and noticed, as so many of you perhaps, that housing availability is a huge issue here in the Bega Valley, as it is in so many other rural areas in Australia. With the lack of rentals and increasing real estate prices, it's getting harder and harder for people to find a place to live. And the situation will not ease anytime soon as building costs go up and building times expand. I hear that people now hesitate to even move here or start moving away because they can't find a place to live. And they take with them their ideas, their visions, and their dreams, which is not good for the Bega Valley. So I wondered, how can we tackle that? Why not make a product which is what most of the conventional housing is not? It's prefab, it's easy and fast to set up, has great energy efficiency, it's reusable, it's recyclable, and you can relocate it if you wish. It's of high quality with a competitive price tag, that you can buy or sell the whole thing or just parts of it just to suit your changing spatial needs. You could buy or rent the modules, and if you're a landholder and would like to utilize your land, but not with the hassle of managing tenants or the maintenance, we just lease parts of your land, take care of everything, and pay your rent for using your land with nothing to worry for you. It's easy. What we do different as well is the manufacturing. To achieve the combination of cost effectiveness and quality, we'll aim for a much higher degree of automation, where each module is assembled from pre-manufactured, ready to install materials and components with no need for adjustment or additional labor. And then the modules just get delivered on site and will be ready to live in within a day. At the moment, we are at the development stage for the design, doing market research, and we'll start to connect with potential suppliers and manufacturers once we solve the nitty-gritty. So, as we are at the beginning of our journey, if you'd like to stay updated on what's going on with Mobizi, hop onto our website, mobizi.com.au, leave your email, and we'll keep you in the loop on what's happening. Or if you feel like joining us on our adventure, reach out to me via the iAccelerator team. Looking forward, and thank you.
Well done, Olive. Great job. I'm really pleased to hand you over to your panelist, who's joining us from, I think somewhere south of Wollongong, as he's in a beautiful area of the world, but not out of lockdown. So sorry, Pete. Peter Masterson.
Thanks very much, Jan. Yeah, Kiama is lovely, but at least we can get out and walk around a beautiful part of the world. But Olive, great pitch. And coming from a son whose father was a builder for a few years, and having built a few houses myself, I can understand where you're coming from. Yeah. Look, I think you set the scenario well, and your pitch was well delivered, and you've obviously thought this out. The issues around housing, they're a problem in the Bega Valley, and they're a problem in a lot of other areas as well. Particularly up around this way, but in also other areas of New South Wales. So I like your idea of modular. I certainly like the idea of energy efficiency and reusable, and the option to buy or rent, because housing affordability is a massive issue that, people, not so much my generation, are contending with, but our kids are certainly struggling with it. In my game, I deal with manufacturers all the time. The manufacturers that are doing well are those that have got their head around automation and Industry 4.0 concepts for making their process efficient. So I think that's a great outcome as well. I think a pitch also needs an ask. You really need to ask something about what you want, and I wasn't clear whether you're at this stage you're looking for people just to follow your journey and see where you're going with your R&D and your market research, or whether you're looking for something else. So it's not really a criticism, because I thought your pitch was very, very good. Maybe just sort of say, look, we're only looking for you to follow us at this point in time, so please join our webpage. But apart from that, I think it was a great pitch. I think it's an interesting product. And I look forward to seeing you and how your journey goes. And I'll certainly be registering on your website. Well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I had a conversation beforehand about what to do with the pitch and who to address. And because we're on an early stage, it's more like an introductional. It's like an introductional move.
Yep.
To bring that in, gain momentum through that. While I'm talking, I get the subscription emails coming in, ticking in here.
So terrific.
Works.
Fantastic. Thanks, Olive, and thanks, Peter. Peter from Oz Industry. So that's great feedback. And Peter does travel up and down when we're allowed in the region. So I'm sure we'll be able to set up a meeting really, really shortly between the two of you. So that'd be great to get your feedback, Peter, for Olive's business. All right. We're going on to our last business for the new enterprise category. And I'm going to hand over now to Yolanda from South Coast Circular Fashion.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yolanda. I have 22 years experience in the fashion industry, and I'm also currently a sustainable fashion copywriter. I have a vision for every fashion brand to be sustainable, starting right here on the South Coast. Right now, the global fashion retail market is worth $1.5 trillion, and that's predicted to triple by 2030. We have lots of problems in the fashion industry, and these are hurting people and planet. We're producing way too much fashion, and 80% of which ends up in landfill annually. And this contributes to 10% of our global emissions. And there's so much exploitation of people in the supply chain. There's now a growing sector of conscious consumers who don't want to be part of this problem. All fashion brands, whether they're sustainable or not, have many problems, such as supply chain transparency and now disruption due to COVID, a lack of local manufacturing opportunities, and competition with fast fashion. When I dug deeper into sustainable brands into competing with fast fashion, what I found was that every local brand I spoke to didn't know how to directly connect with their conscious consumer. So what if the conscious consumer, the fashion brand, the supply chain, digital marketing, local innovation, local manufacturing, and repurposing of textile waste could all come together like a sustainable fashion village, using the principles of circular fashion, where we keep fashion circulating in the economy until end of life. So my value proposition is a platform where every participant in the sustainable fashion village, including the conscious consumer, all come together to trade and collaborate using a marketing strategy to connect them all, which also includes a transition tool to help brands become more sustainable. A platform that's based on the 10 UN SDGs that directly relate to the fashion industry and ranks and reviews every trading participant against the SDGs and the 6 indicators shown here. So our transition to sustainability tool will help brands become more sustainable, so they're not left behind as the market transitions to more circularity. For example, take a local brand. We analyse where they are right now. They might rank 1 out of 6 out of these indicators. They enter the program, they use the transition tool, and at the end of stage 1 transitioning, they may rate 3 out of 6. So the revenue streams will come from brand and supply chain subscriptions, marketing services. Currently there are 6 of them. Transition toolbox products. One of those products may be worth between $2,500 to $3,500, and affiliate marketing. So I'm looking for 2 advisory board members. I'm also looking for $300,000 over 3 years, which will fund the team, build the platform, the software toolbox, marketing strategy, and for a feasibility study to develop manufacturing, training, and innovation capability, which will drive employment in the Bega Valley. As I often say, there's never been a more critical time to be in this industry and a more exciting time. So thanks for listening.
Thanks, Yolanda, and a great audience for you today with members from Research Field as well as Barry Irvin, who's spearheading the circular economy movement in Bega. So he's going to be your panelist for today. So over to you, Barry.
Right.
Barry, are you on mute?
I was muted.
There we go.
My apologies. I'm sure I said something very wise, Yolanda. But anyway, look, really very good pitch and very big challenge. I think as we spoke before. In terms of some of those key areas that obviously this is a very worthy and very large issue, and there are many that are perhaps wanting to ignore the problem, particularly, for a better way of putting it, retailers. So you've got a lot of retailers that, as you're no doubt identifying, are tight on margin, and so and it's a highly competitive space, if you like. So I guess I've got 2 questions. One is, what role do you see retailers as being part of this in terms of how you might bring them into this circle, if you like? Because I would actually think that they should be a key user. And the second is, what I would observe with conscious consumption is that we have a bit of a phenomena where the behavior of the consumer isn't necessarily what the consumer describes themselves as behaving. So in other words, they say, I really want to buy this sustainable thing, but they are very affected by price. And I think it's that set of consumers that we need to win over as well. So I'd be probably just interested in your views more than anything else, because I think the pitch is really good, and it is a matter of how we engage with the key people. But they would be two of the areas where I'd go, well, one is about engaging with, to a certain extent, the problem, which is the retailer and what they want to access, and the other is, how do you genuinely change consumer behavior, or how do you feel that they will change their behavior?
Yeah, thanks, Barry. They're two really good questions. So in terms of talking about brands, I do include retailers. I include to start on the South Coast, my vision is for every fashion supplier on the South Coast, including retailers, and including big brands as well. At the moment within the industry, big brands are contributing to most of the problem, and in fact, with greenwashing, in appearing, it's a PR marketing tactic to appear to be more sustainable. So definitely retailers, and I think the transition tool will be a case-by-case tool, depending on the size of the brand. In terms of small brands who are on very tight, margins, that's where I think the digital marketing component is really critical to help them grow their business and to connect with their target market. So, and in terms of consumer behaviour, consumers have a lot of power, and they will have a lot of power in this industry. And there is more and more information coming out every day about how harmful this industry is, both to the environment and to people. So I think we're on the verge of seeing some real consumer behaviour changing. But I really believe it's about educating, and I believe it's about brands having a strong message. And when it comes to sustainability, it is a strong message. Yeah.
So look, Yolanda, and I know Sam's going to want to cut me off, but I actually think that this is going to gather huge, fast momentum. So, and the parallel I would draw is, if you looked at, say, Coles advertising only 18 months ago, there was nothing around sustainability in their advertising. And now every second ad you see about Coles is about emissions and net zero. And so that momentum is huge. So I think we've just got to work out, how we tap into that momentum, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks, guys. And Barry's right. I am going to cut you off. Well done, everyone. That was really interesting. I learned a lot during that pitch. Thank you, Yolanda.
Thanks.
Now we're going to actually have a bit of a break to poll our audience. So I can see we've got over 50 people out there watching us in our audience, and unfortunately panelists and hosts can't vote. So we're going to have to leave it up to you now, our audience, to vote. So I'm just going to ask Millie if she can try and launch our poll. So in front of you, you should now see the names of our businesses who've just pitched in our new enterprise category: Disability Club, Greencraft, The Readership, My Small Business Coach, Mobeezy, and South Coast Circular Fashion. You get one vote. So I'm going to ask you to each jump in and let me know your favourite. It's a really hard one to judge because you're all out for different markets and have very different businesses, but it's a bit of fun to see what our audience is thinking. So far we've got 19 people jumping on the votes. Ooh, I need thinking music. We're getting close. I'll give everyone a few more seconds to put their vote in. Who are watching? Oh, it's just jumping up and down. I don't know if the audience can see what's happening, but they're all quite close at the moment. I think we've paused. Oh no, more votes coming in now. 5 more seconds for people to get their vote in. All right, Millie, we might share our vote with the audience, share our results. And Greencraft has just slipped in the front there. Well done, Ben. He'll be very pleased. Well done, guys. All right, we're going to move forward with the next part of our session. We'll stop sharing our poll and I'll stop looking at it. This is the challenging part of the webinar for me. All right, we're going to move forward to our next category, which is existing enterprise. And first, we're going to have John from Virtual Modular. Over to you, John.
Hello and welcome to Virtual Modular. I'd like to introduce to you a new innovative product. I've been a builder for over 38 years in the transportable building sector. And in that time, there's been a public outcry for affordable housing, but no one can offer a viable solution until now. This issue has also been recently raised by the Bega Valley Shire Council. There are 4 traditional methods of building currently: concrete, steel, bricks and mortar, and timber, all of which have expensive materials and require skilled trade labour. To combat the expensive materials and labour, our design team have developed a new product called Gridlocked. Gridlocked uses a grid method with interchangeable components that lock together. The Gridlock framing method can be utilised in 4 main areas. Gridlock decorative, to be used by shop fitters in retail commercial space. Gridlock structural, to be used by builders, tradies and do-it-yourselfers, as this system is compliant to the National Construction Code. Gridlock engineering, as this system is fully scalable and can be used on larger projects. And Gridlocked eco-friendly, which is my favourite. This utilises recycled plastics and other recyclable materials into the components. This is great for the circular economy and meets many of the 17 sustainability goals. One of the many features of the Gridlock framing system is delivery to site, as we offer an IKEA-style flat pack delivery system, which has easy assembly using simple tooling, or can be fully automated using robotic construction in a factory setting and then transported to site. This greatly reduces construction costs, improves construction time, and the overall strength of the product is greater than equivalent models. So to be part of the Gridlock solution, please jump on our website, social pages. Now, the cost time saving may seem like bold statements, but to address an issue this big of affordable housing, you need to be distinctly different. Thank you and stay safe.
Well done, John. Thank you. And you did well not having any clanging, banging and crashing in the building site behind you while you did that. So that's very authentic. So well done. I'm going to hand over for feedback from your panellist, who's from Oz Industry, Peter Masterson again. Peter, you might be on mute. I think I lost him. There we are. Got you again, Peter.
I clicked the wrong button. I apologise. Yeah, great pitch, John, and it's one of my pet topics. So I enjoyed your pitch, and I think, like Tam said earlier, I was writing down questions, and as I was writing them down, you were answering them, which was great. You know, I like the fact that you've got your technology you can apply to different sectors. I enjoyed sort of hearing that you could have it in a retail situation, shop building, a typical building scenario, larger projects, or assembled, robotically, and then the home delivered on site, which I thought was a good option as well. I think it would have been good to hear, I was writing down, cost question mark. It would be good to know if, what you think the cost advantages are over conventional building, and what might set this apart from other modular systems. And I like the eco-friendly with recycled material as well. So I think we're going to hear more and more about that as the future comes. I guess my question to you, this is coming back from helping Dad on building sites and all that sort of stuff. I'm just interested to hear a little bit more about your technology and how it's a little bit different to others. But I'm not sure if you're happy to share that, or we can catch up at a later date. But I'll hand over to you. But I thought it was a great pitch, and I'm enjoying to hear a bit more about it. Yeah.
Sure, thanks, Peter. Yes, without giving away the secret herbs and spices, this system is completely outside of the box as opposed to traditional building methods. And right now we're at crisis point, because as a builder, I cannot buy timber. They're in such short supply. I've converted to steel here recently, and even that, as of this morning, is on a month-by-month allocation from the steel suppliers. So it's scarce on the ground, and the cost is only going up. So my system is completely unique in terms of design, and it has so many benefits. I can bore you for about 10 minutes, but I'd like to show you. I really want to explain the product more in detail, but I just can't right now due to IP protection that I've got to put on it.
No worries. I understand completely. And at some point in time, when we get out of lockdown, I will look forward to catching up with you in the Bega Valley. But good pitch for a problem that we've got everywhere. So well done. Yeah.
Yes. The problem right now is at crisis point, and I can't do this product fast enough.
Fantastic, John. I totally agree. Many friends trying to build houses at the moment, and they're just waiting for those products. So, and good on you for holding on to your IP. We're going to head now to our next pitch, and we have Doug joining us from Bourda, I believe, and he's from Bega Tathra Safe Ride. Over to you, Doug.
Hi everyone, my name's Doug Record, and I'm the Secretary of the Bega Tathra Safe Ride Committee. We're working for improved active transport infrastructure for the whole community, and by that we mean shared paths where people can enjoy exercise and explore our beautiful valley. As our name suggests, our big goal is the completion of a shared path between Bega and Tathra, and to raise awareness, we've been busy with a number of activities, including successful community rides supported by hundreds of riders. You'll note on the slide what I've called the wheels of good fortune. Wherever you spin bike wheels and cycling, you get great outcomes for our community, not least the development of a major regional tourist attraction. Bega Tathra Safe Ride will be a unique family-friendly riding experience connecting two South Coast icons, Bega Cheese and Tathra Wharf. People talk about the cost. Derby mountain bike track in Tassie, a $3 million investment that now attracts 30,000 visitors a year and adds $30 million per annum to the Tasmanian economy. A great return on investment. And you'll note on our wheel of fortune, there is no bankrupt. Our slogan is join the movement. And we should all consider how some people in our community are subjected to a form of permanent lockdown, which can be overcome by great planning, equipment, support for inclusive participation and connecting infrastructure. And I'm talking about people with mobility needs and people in the aged care sector. The two pictures on the left, which I'm very fond of, are two students having a great time at Bourda Environmental Education Centre, where I work in the beautiful Bourda National Park, experiencing the joys of movement enabled by the Trail Rider, an all-terrain wheelchair purchased with the support of Tolkien and Tara Motors. The other photos on the right-hand side of the slide are those two same students, Jake and Jason, on the Callaroo to Tathra shared pathway. This is the infrastructure prototype that's already been built by the state government and Bega Valley Shire Council. And it works, and it's amazing to see how the path has enhanced the opportunities for people, particularly during lockdown. And Coney is the young man in the middle in his wheelchair there. So build the infrastructure, help the people with their equipment needs, support them in activities, and let the movement begin. So here's what we need. The trike on the left, top left, is my trike, which I'm standing behind right now. 4,500 kilometres in just over a year. It's sustainable, reliable and fun. And what we want to do is create an opportunity to use that to transport people with mobility needs, to take them on fun adventures on the new Bega to Tathra pathway when we can build it. The trike in the middle there with the cover on it will cost about $16,000, and we would like to buy one now. So if there's an investor out there who wants to throw that at us, we'll use that for testing and trial purposes. We need to have the path extended from Callaroo to Bega. A $125,000 feasibility study is underway right now, supported by the state government and Bega Valley Shire Council. We are nearly there. We know that there is a bike in the circular economy. If you see on the bottom right-hand side of the slide, we found a bike in there, and we pointed that out to Barry. We know bikes can make a great contribution to addressing the sustainable development goals. The Diriganj name for the path from Callaroo to Tathra is Yili Gili, meaning the way. There's no reason why the way can't go all the way. Thank you.
Fantastic, Doug. Thank you. I'm very humbled by the amount of kilometres you've done on your bike. I'm glad there isn't a counter on my bike, but I have enjoyed the pathway, I have to say. I'm going to hand over to your panelist now, who's Tam from iAccelerate.
Great presentation. I really loved it, and I love what you're trying to achieve here. I suppose I have two questions for you. One is, things take time. So, there's a feasibility study. What do you need? What is your next asks to speed things up for you? And then my second question, which I'll give to you so you can answer both at once, is why stop at Bega to Tathra? What's bigger? What's the next step after Bega to Tathra?
Look, they're both great questions, Tam. And the first one, in terms of what do we need? Look, we're really pleased with the way the project's going and the way the support from particularly Andrew Constance and the state government and the council is lining up. That's all very positive. The feasibility study was, is underway. But when that hits the ground, look, we know in the economy that we're moving into, through the COVID crisis, that there is going to be a lot of demand on public expenditure on infrastructure. So we really need the community to be behind this 100%. And so anyone out there listening, follow us on Facebook, get in contact with us. Your voice is really critical to telling people that, look, we can focus on the costs, but there's studies done in various parts of the world where the return on investment for every dollar spent on a bike path, you get a return about $20. That's at the top end of the scale, but the health outcomes are enormous. And we know that there's a physical and mental health crisis with chronic lifestyle diseases. And this is part of the answer for government. So it's actually an asset, not just a cost that earns. And I've spoken so long there, Tam, I forgot the second part of the question, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I think Sam answered it for you. I said, what's after Bega to Tathra?
Oh, well, look, all I would say there is that we're at the hub of a huge potential cycling area. We've got Thredbo, we've got Tumbarumba Rail Trail, we've got the Victorian Rail Trails over the border, we've got Eden Mountain Bike Trails funded by the state government, Narooma, Mogo. This sits in as a really unique thing because not everyone's a mountain bike rider, but families can go together and they can make that journey from Bega Cheese to Tathra Wharf, and it's going to be really exciting.
Well done, Doug. Geez, you sold that well. I'm very impressed. Good job, mate.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, now.
I'll just move out of the sun.
Oh, good idea. All right. I'll get you to mute your microphone too, Doug, because I can hear your wheels turning. I'm going to hand over now to Penny, who's been waiting nervously in the wings from Minima Solutions. Over to you, Penny.
Hello, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Penny Green and I'm co-founder and director of Minimum Solutions. We're a small consulting company based in the Bega Valley, and our focus is on data management and system alignment within infrastructure asset-centric organisations. We've been in business for just over 12 months and we're really enjoying what we do, which is great. And there's some momentum building within the business. We're currently focused on service delivery, but at some point hope to productise some of our solutions. We see ourselves as being the people who can assist decision makers by providing line of sight throughout an organisation, by aligning strategic visions and direction with on-the-ground outputs, outcomes and activities. Next slide, thanks, Mum. Having worked in local government and being caught up in what we call the system soup, it became very evident that there had to be an easier, more efficient and more effective way of retrieving answers from within the quagmire of data and information. The problems that usually exist within organisations are often when data is collected, it is not aligned with any other corporate information, so it sits in isolation and not really assisting with any ongoing strategic decision making or reporting. Then there's the monolithic systems that can promise the world but not always deliver on the specific needs within an organisation, forcing people to operate outside of the system to create solutions and outcomes. And then there's the best of breed systems that can deliver on the need but not necessarily integrate very well across an organisation, keeping data isolated. Then there's the reporting. The reports are often shelved and not really read by many people as they are a snapshot in time and quickly become redundant. The process of preparing reports is not living and can't be easily generated due to the separation and isolation of corporate data and information, wasting countless hours of staff time. So this is where we come in to assist in alleviating the pain points and to free up some valuable resource. Our aim is to connect and display isolated and separated information for a more holistic business-centric view. Next slide, thanks, Millie. We offer the capability for rapid data collection and optimisation of workflows. We produce interactive web applications for decision makers to see the critical aspects of their operations. Our solutions are customised, as quite often one size never really seems to fit anyone. They are scalable, from providing very localised reporting and analytics through to regionalised collection and reporting for comparison and benchmarking. Our solutions are interactive, repeatable and transparent, providing outputs that can demonstrate process, including historic information, resulting in the solutions being auditable and highlighting ongoing process improvements and governance. So if you're part of an organisation that needs improvement with your data visibility, don't be afraid to give us a call. See you.
Thank you, Penny. I am from an organisation that has a lot of data, so I can totally empathise with what you're talking about. I'm going to hand over to your panellist today, who is Alex Cunningham. Alex is joining us from Bega Valley Shire Council, and he's the Manager of Economic Strategy. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Sam. Thanks, Sam, and thanks, Penny, for your presentation. Coming from sort of a strong background in bureaucracy from the federal government and then joining local government, I can understand what you're saying in terms of that systems soup and putting more effort into reporting than perhaps the actual task you were given to undertake. And we all know how important it is to get sort of real-time data for our executives to make informed decisions, and that's really hard when you have those disparate systems. I guess my question to you would be, you have a lot of those sort of larger organizations like your SAPs and Oracles and other sort of SaaS product organizations or that have moved to a SaaS model, and I guess what gives you that sort of unique way to be able to service businesses? Is it your ability to sort of be agile and pivot, or is it how do you integrate those sorts of data systems that are so entrenched in organizations?
Yeah, so what we've been doing is we go into an organisation and speak with people who are trying to populate the data and all that kind of stuff, and then go also to the executive and actually try and find out what it is they want to see in real time, and then go into the back end of the system and just pull out the relevant parts and tie them together. Because quite often for staff to produce a report, they've had to keep some kind of unique identifier or something that identifies a piece of information, but it just ends up being disconnected. So there's usually knowledge within an organisation that can tie bits of data together. And then we structure that. It's usually housed on site, like we haven't really had to hold anything off premise yet. So yeah, and then we just tie it all up in a bundle and then put it on a web visualization for reporting.
Right, and do you have, you talked about a vision for productizing the service. At the moment, you're in the trenches and getting it done individually. How do you see that? Is it through that sort of benchmarking tools that you talked about, and then having a front-facing
We're currently
product?
got a few clients in Victoria, and the Victorian Local Government Act was rewritten in 2020 and requires each council to come up with a 10-year asset plan. And so we feel that based on the councils we've worked with so far, that we could probably start to produce something that is reusable and scalable across multiple organisations.
Excellent.
Thanks
a lot, Penny.
Thanks, Alex, as well for joining us today. I know Alex will be very relieved we're out of lockdown today. The last meeting I had, I think there was children screaming in the background, so you'll be very relieved today. All good. We're going to hand over to our next business, and we have a duo joining us, which is Isaac and Matt from Your Virtual Home. Over to you guys.
Thanks, guys. Isaac's here to give me some support today, but I'll be the one doing the pitch. Hello, we are Your Virtual Home, and today we're pitching to investors and early adopters in the architecture and building industry. Every architect and builder in every project encounters a stage where plans and designs are reviewed and assessed by their clients. Traditionally, this is achieved through the use of diagrams, images, and scale models. Modern architectural design tools are even able to generate three-dimensional renders. These techniques, however, have always been impaired by varying degrees by the same issue. They rely on their client's spatial ability. This is the ability to transform two-dimensional information into a three-dimensional understanding. Because spatial ability varies between individuals, this can be a barrier of having a design communicated effectively. For example, in our testing, a client's concern about the signs of their lounge room had delayed sign-off on the design by 3 weeks, with multiple meetings to address this, including taping out the size of the room on the ground. Design homes negate this problem, but are expensive and not customizable in themselves. Your Virtual Home is a service that converts building designs into virtual reality experiences, allowing clients to walk through and explore and assess designs in virtual reality to a one-to-one scale. Clients are able to walk through the building in the design phase, allowing them to assess, request changes, and finalize designs using their natural perception and without needing to apply spatial ability. I wish I could see what people's faces look like when they put the headset on, because all I see is their mouth open up. But I think if we could see their eyes, I think they'd be popping out of their head with excitement. Remember that client who was taping out their room and still having concerns? It took a matter of minutes for them to be confident about the room size after viewing it in virtual reality. We had a teenage boy looking at his future bedroom, noticed that a window had been placed right beside the entry from the carport. He was able to identify and request a change in the design phase, which may have saved the whole family from some embarrassing moments. Architects and builders alike gain an advantage as well. Prior to sessions with clients, we've seen architects assess and make changes, including window placement, and even crouch down into virtual bathtubs just to check that the view is just right. We have an estimated profitability based on there being 10,000 architects and 20,000 builders Australian-wide. And if only 5% of these are early adopters, and with each completing 3 projects per year, totaling $1,000 in revenue, looking at overall profits of 1.5 million per year. We are seeking investors to support our business in a number of ways, including, but not limited to, development of a fully automated web solution, support with customer capture and management, and promotional expenditure. Investment terms are fully negotiable and all interest is welcome. Your virtual home is an exciting new project that will expand and grow with your support. By removing the requirements for spatial ability, you will find that communicating plans and designs is a smooth and intuitive experience, leaving both yourself and your client confident that they are receiving their dream home. Thank you.
Well done, Matt. I just put something in the chat and said you nailed it. And then I was like, oh, such a dad joke that was. Well done, that was fantastic. And I love seeing the video. I'm going to hand over to your panelist, who is Natasha Berta from Connected Marketing. Over to you, Tash.
Sam. Thank you. Yeah, just like with the with Ben Buggy's presentation, I'm pretty interested in how much you've connected with architects about this. And also while you were speaking, I realised, oh, it's VR, and my son gets actually quite a bit of vertigo with VR. So I guess I'm also thinking about the end user, and I mean, obviously that's just going to be an issue for him in general with VR as we move forward into a more robotic era. But I'm just curious about those things.
So to address the like motion sickness and vertigo sort of thing, there's a lot of different ways that you can move in virtual reality. And when we first started doing it, we did this slidey movement where you moved like an analog stick around and you just slid around. And for people that put their headset on and tried that, it was seconds before they started feeling sick. So then we transitioned to more of a teleporting one, and it's not set places like Google Maps, for instance, where you can only go to particular spots. You can go to an inch away from the wall or 10 inches, and you can teleport around the entire house. You can stand on the kitchen counter if you wanted to and look down across and like, and this we found allows people to experience it for longer. Some people even, having 15 to 20 minute sessions in there without feeling the slightest bit of sickness, where before it was a matter of seconds before they were feeling uneasy. So we've really tried to look at a great solution to allow people to experience it as long as they can without feeling sick in that respect.
Yeah, and you feel like you've got architects on board. Like it sounds like you've done a lot of research and market research particularly. So I'm interested in, does it feel like architects see this as a positive way forward?
Yeah, so we've worked with a couple of different architects. Olaf, who is one of the other panelists, we've worked with him, with some of his clients, and it's been a really positive experience for both the architects involved and their clients. It makes me confident about what we're doing is stepping in the right direction. But yeah, the testing that we've done has been really positive, and architects that we've discussed it with have been like wanting to hop on board.
Yeah, cool. It looks really solid. It looks like you guys have done heaps of back work preparing, so it's a pretty exciting way to move forward. Make good use of the technology. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well done. Great job, Matt. And I love your background there in the University of Wollongong classroom, as we're so happy to be reopened today and have people inside using the building. So that's very nice. All right, I'm going to move forward to our lucky last panelist, who is Steve from Health Physics. Over to you, Steve.
Okay, great. Thanks, Sam. In 3D printing or additive manufacture, a physical object is created from a digital design by selectively depositing material on a layer-by-layer basis. Next slide, please. 3D printing has promised much to the field of medicine. Think artificial organs, titanium sternums, prosthetic limbs, but in reality has delivered little. But just like the laser in the 1960s, 3D printing is actually a solution looking for a problem. We think we've found a simple problem. Hi, my name's Steve Harvey, Director of Health Physics, a consultancy with experience in sustainable additive manufacture for the medical industry. Next slide, please. Picture this, you're a newly minted junior doctor working in the emergency department. A patient presents with acute airway obstruction requiring emergency intubation. They're at risk of suffocation and death. The only way to open the airway is to perform an emergency procedure using a scalpel to make an incision in their throat, an extremely dangerous undertaking. But you aren't trained for this. In fact, it's impossible to train on a live patient. And this scenario may occur only once in your medical career. So what do? The solution is a task trainer. This is a modular, cuttable plastic model that simulates a particular part of the anatomy. Task trainers allow you to build up muscle memory with confidence by repetition in a safe, controlled environment. Next slide, please. But only standard task trainers are available, typically representing young, fit, slim, healthy Caucasian adults. They're non-customizable, expensive, and often single use, thereby adding to the hospital waste problem. Our value proposition is to design and low rate manufacture fully customizable and reusable 3D printed task trainers using recycled or sustainably sourced plastic. Our customer validation studies with the local hospitals indicate that there is a definite need for simple, fully customizable task trainers. This is a highly specialised market, a narrow focus, bespoke, but high margins. Our main competitors are the overseas suppliers currently selling task trainers to hospital training centres and ICUs. There are currently over 35 local health districts in Australia, each spending around $80,000 per annum on medical training aids. We hope to initially capture 25% of this market via direct sales and licensed manufacture. We have a number of related pilot studies currently underway in the Bega Valley using sustainably sourced plastics. We are pitching to medical customers interested in purchasing our products for their own training requirements. There is ample R&D scope to expand the complexity of these trainers using simple sensors and robotics. There is also future growth potential into other areas requiring bespoke plastic manufacture, such as the fashion, jewellery and agricultural sectors. This initiative fits in well with the circular economy concept by helping recycle and reuse some of the waste plastic generated in the Bega Valley each year. Thank you.
Well done, Steve. I think we shocked some of the audience with the models there. I'm kind of used to them at my work here in Bega, but anytime I take someone for a walk to see the sim labs, I've had people faint before, so I hope we didn't have that today. I'm going to hand over to Barry Irvin, who's your panelist for today. Thanks.
Thank you. Hi, Steve. Pretty exciting. I can't help but I guess put my my own experiences hat on in terms of the plastic sourcing that you need to do. So in terms of is it a limited profile of plastics, or is it almost any plastic can be adapted for this? So I guess I'm interested in the inputs, because obviously it's a major issue and this sounds like a nice solution for part of the problem, if you like. And then on the external side, in terms of adaptability, because obviously you're focusing on health there, but I would imagine that you would, and you mentioned it, but I would imagine you would have adaptability across all sorts of industries, and even some adjacency around manufacturing facilities with something like this set up alongside it as an input. But I'd be interested in just your views on those couple of things.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Barry. So the answer to your first question, it does require a particular type of plastic in order to be able to 3D print. Quite a high purity plastic. They are making recycled filament for 3D printers using recycled plastics. So that is currently underway, and where possible, we would be using that type of filament. An extension to this project would be to actually create the 3D plastic filament inputs here in the Bega Valley, and that's quite a simple project, but I haven't focused on that in this particular item at the moment. The other area which you touched on, which is very relevant, is the expansion of this technology into other areas that require customized designs, simple designs, but low rate manufacture. So 3D printing is no good for high rate manufacture, but for low rate, simple objects that are easy to produce, 3D printing is ideal for that. And I think it will fit well with the circular economy in the Bega Valley.
Yeah, look, it's a great pitch, and I think it's interesting around adjacencies from both ends of the spectrum. I think, as you say, creating the raw material here would be a fantastic thing to do, and interestingly, even around the shortening of supply chains, which is something that the circular economy thinks about a lot. The ability to, it can take a long time to get a very simple part into a region like the Bega Valley. So I think interested. So if I could ask one more question, so in terms of your infrastructure, where are you at with your manufacturing infrastructure?
Okay, so Barry, at the moment we're just doing. I'm a two-man band, if you like, just doing very bespoke manufacturing, focusing on the local medical sector. So we're producing a couple of models each week that are fit for purpose, getting very good feedback. This sort of project is ideal for scaling up. So it needs a physical space, it needs a number of personnel and some very simple plastic inputs. We're probably looking at, to start off with, probably about between $30,000 and $50,000 for equipment. That's at the high end. But the important thing is to get some space to be able to scale up for local. It's ideally suited to students with STEM background. Kids love this stuff. And so getting them involved in this type of industry from the ground up throughout their careers, it's a great opportunity. And this is one particular use case. There are many use cases for this technology.
Well done. Sounds highly investable to me. The numbers aren't prohibitive and the opportunities seem high. So great pitch.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Steve, and thank you to all our panelists. We're going to have our second poll now for our existing enterprise category, unless everyone's gone out to lunch, which they may have and left their webinar on. So we'll see. Oh no, the votes are starting to come in. I'll give everyone a minute or so to vote for their favourite. From Virtual Modular, Bega for a Safe Ride, Minima Solutions, Your Virtual Home, or Health Physics. Oh, it's neck and neck at the moment. Poll's still coming. Everyone's coming in. I'm going to finish it in a moment. Okay, we'll stop there. Millie, could you share our poll? And just ahead, we have Bega for a Safe Ride. Doug, how many people did you pay?
They'll let me know what they want from that. Free pizza and free drinks.
Well done, mate, and well done to everyone today. You know, and Minima Solutions, don't take it as a bad thing, this poll, because your product is very niche, and I think most of our panelists would have voted. I certainly need some solutions here, so thanks everyone. There's a lot of people and effort that's gone in for today. I did want to let all our audience and everyone know that Bega Valley Innovation Hub will be hosting an innovation summit in Bega at the end of 2022 with Bega Valley Shire Council, which is really exciting for our area. iAccelerate and their bushfire recovery program, they've just been funded by the state government to hold this innovation summit here in the Bega Valley, and we'll be having regional innovators from all across the country, hopefully, joining us to share their learnings and receive support about business. And all of these businesses you see here today will be joining us for that summit, I hope, and it'll be interesting to see how far they've come in that amount of time. Thanks so much to everyone involved, all of our facilitators and admin support and experts and local mentors and everyone for joining today and supporting regional business. We'll send you all out a wrap of the event as well as a copy of the recording. So if you want to let someone know, oh, I saw this great business, you be interested in this, you'll be able to forward them a link. And that's really how word often gets around in country areas like the Bega Valley. We'll all now go out and tell 10 people, and then they'll tell 10 more. So if you'd like to get in touch with any of our businesses, we'll send you their direct contact details, and you can also contact them through us at the Bega Valley Innovation Hub. We're bang on time. I'm very proud of us, and I'd like to thank everyone for their hard work, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend with your families. If you're in the Bega Valley, you can go and see people now. We'll make the most of it while we can, and for those of you who are joining us from further afield, we wish you all the best. Stay safe, and we hope you can come and visit us here in Bega soon. Thanks everyone, and ciao.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam. That was great.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Well done. All of our audience has left us now, so done really well. Fantastic work. So exciting to have it finished. Do you feel relieved?
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Sam. Thanks, Millie.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.